Hello everyone, my name is Fiat Alligators and welcome to another video, and today we will be covering something that's not as much about video games as it is about consoles. Today I will be giving a very honest review about the Series X. I did actually manage to get one, as surprising as it is, and I'm writing what I did really well. I think they could have improved on, and also just overall things that you might be wondering. But before we jump into that, make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies content, and other content as well, since I've figured I might as well try to branch out in terms of content and do other stuff other than just Cold War gameplay and class setups. Now, there are two things to keep in mind when listening to this overall review. One, I never got a mid-console, like a mid-generation console, and two, I don't have a PC. Now, a lot of people who write reviews and stuff like that have a ton of stuff to compare it to, like, especially game reviewing, like, channels and, like, stuff that's built around consoles and hardware and stuff like that. They probably have a very high-end PC, the PS5, and some other stuff to compare it to. For me, the only thing I ever had before this was a base Xbox One, so take that as you will. And number two, this gameplay isn't as crisp as it could have been. And that is one thing that I kind of don't like, but I could understand why they did it. It's, for when you're doing a review, most people will record what's happening on the monitor from the actual monitor and not the console. Unlike that, I don't have that luxury and I just play on a normal TV. So I have to record it from Xbox itself on the console. The problem with that is, in order to even get just 10 minutes of gameplay, you have to record at 720 SRD, which is standard definition range, and max it can record actually is 4K HDR, but the problem is, even doing that, it uploads to the Xbox app at 1080 at SDR, so not HDR, and not at 4K. And also, if I do film at 4K HDR, and I could download it out on my phone, the amount of time that you can record is it's not long, it's 30 seconds max, so I occasionally like to sometimes do that, like for certain shorter clips, I'll purposely turn the quality up a lot, and even if it downgrades it, I know that it's recorded nice and that it'll look better. So in general, it's not the best that it can look, but let me tell you, this console looks amazing. Background gameplay you are seeing is Hitman 3, that is one of my favorite games as of, well, just not my favorite games, but it's probably one of my most popular games right now. I've been playing a lot of it. It's very interesting. It's very fun. This isn't a Hitman 3 review, but the graphics look amazing. Even playing Hitman 2 instead of Hitman 3, even playing Hitman 2 on the Xbox One, it still looked very good for the fact that it's the older generation. But playing it on this thing is just amazing. I have not had any frame rate drops at anything, and I've even done challenges where you take out everyone on the map like a lot of people do because, well, it's just fun, and I haven't noticed any frame rate drops, and I haven't noticed any problems with things like the display options, frame rate drops, which I already mentioned a lot, and just overall things, and I can definitely notice the lighting and stuff like that is a lot better from the older generation. And one of my biggest things that I absolutely love about this console is quick resume. Now, I do not know fully. I know PS5 has some sort of version of this, but I don't know if they did it as well as Xbox. So let me just put it in very simple terms so you understand how good it is. If I were to, let's say I'm playing Hitman 3, since you can play online, but it's mostly offline, I would not fully close out of the game, so I would just turn off the console, maybe get on it the next day, turn it back on, and when I open up Hitman, it'll be exactly where it was the day before with no lag or anything. And as soon as I get on the game, I can instantly hit resume, and it'll be right where I was without any sort of, like, bugs or glitchiness. Which is super nice, especially for games that have, like, a very tedious booting up process. It's just amazing to do. And even online games, like I noticed I can do it in Battlefield 5 is another one I really like playing on this console, because although I'm not, like, I know Battlefield 1 is superior to it, but Battlefield 5 also looks amazing on this console. And another thing I want to talk about leading into that is frame rate. This console, I have noticed, on any game that I've played, has not had any frame rate drops whatsoever. Battlefield 5, a pretty big game with very big maps and a lot of things going on, never had frame rate problems in the entirety of playing it. Hitman 3, a smaller game, but with a lot of things going on and really nice graphics. No frame rate drops of any kind. And keep in mind as well, I have the console running at like max resolution and everything like that. Obviously, it does have a little bit to do with the TV, but I make sure, just because as soon as I got it, I had watched some reviews on it and I was like, hey, this is like really, really nice. So I turned on my TV and on the console in general, all the settings to like perfect. So playing on it, it just looks super nice. And especially on Battlefield 5, I've noticed that a lot of the graphics with just everything in general, the water graphics, the destruction, everything just looks super nice. And with the destruction, I've said frame rate a lot, but with everything going on with destruction and other things like that, it's really, really, really good how they just have made everything just work around the console in general. And one of my favorite things to do is just flying around in Battlefield 5 is really nice, because unlike the older consoles, which would always have a problem whenever you would get in planes or vehicles and stuff like that, even in Modern Warfare, it's super, super smooth and it makes it a lot easier to do. And just in general, the graphics are amazing, especially because you could fly around the whole map so you could see stuff happening. And yeah. Speaking of that, Modern Warfare and everything looks amazing as well. Modern Warfare with the lighting and everything like that looks great. Just all the games I've played on this console have looked amazing and had like really good frame rates and everything like that. Speaking of playing games, another big thing with this is there was a controller change up from the Xbox One to the Xbox Series X. And unlike the PS5, you can hook up older controllers to the Series X, which is really nice, because the console, when you get it initially, has one controller in it. So obviously, if I want to play with someone else, or if for some reason I just don't have the other controller, or if it's like missing or something, I can easily hook up my Xbox One controller. But playing with the Series X controller and going back to the Xbox One controller really makes you notice how big of a difference it is, because unlike the Xbox One controller, which has everything like smooth and like all the triggers and stuff have like this really smooth overall finish, which is nice. But I like the Series X controller better because it has a lot of grippy parts, especially on the trigger and also on the joysticks as well. And everything just feels super responsive with it. Another cool thing is I actually have a rechargeable battery for my Xbox One controller, and when we got the Series X, I was pleasantly surprised to discover that controller could also take rechargeable batteries that I used on the One controller. So that is really nice as well, and I feel like overall Xbox did a very good job of moving from console to console, because setting up the Series X literally took me around 20 minutes to get my account on there, to sign in, to get all the games that I had on there. Of course, downloading the games took a pretty good amount of time because I have a lot of stuff. And also, I know the PS5 has this as well, but obviously because I had a base Xbox One, I didn't have a ton of memory. But having a terabyte just is a lot better for having games overall, because on my older console, I had a problem with having Modern Warfare, Warzone, and Cold War all on the same console, to the point where I actually had to remove Spec Ops and some other stuff from Modern Warfare, and also things like that. So in general, it's very nice having more room on the console, and also it allows you to branch out from games that you wouldn't normally get, because on the Xbox One, if I wanted to get Hitman 3, I would have to delete one of the games that I had on there, and that is just not fun. Another point to be brought up is compatibility with other games. All the games that were compatible on the Xbox One, such as 360 games, One games, and other stuff like that, are also compatible on the Series X, which is really nice. And they all play amazing. I mean, of course they would, they're 360 games, so I wouldn't expect them to really be hard to handle for the Series X. But, you know, it's just nice because I have a lot of 360 games that are just fun to revisit and stuff like that. And with all of the extra memory, I don't have to worry about, you know, just having not enough space to have all the games that I want to.